Hi everybody, it's Daphne and you're very welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for coming to spend some time with me today. Today I thought I would do another little installment of my kind of Hollywood icons who are still influencing our choices when it comes to beauty, makeup and fashion. And today I'm going to do Marilyn Monroe. And I have to say that I absolutely love Grace Kelly. I absolutely love Audrey Hepburn. But I think Marilyn has a special place in my heart. There was just something, I don't know, just something mystical about her, wasn't there? I mean, she came from a very humble background and made herself into this film star who has become an icon. And I think no matter where you go in the world, if you mention the name Marilyn Monroe, everybody has an image of who Marilyn was and what she looked like. And I think that's a wonderful testament to the enduring power of her influence on our take on beauty and fashion today. And I also think that regardless of whether we realise it or not, I think nearly every one of us channels a little bit of Marilyn. Whether, you know, you go for a red lip, I thought today how to wear a red lip. Whether you wear a red lip or you love your eyeliner, your winged liner, or false lashes, or, you know, blonde hair, always wearing heels. There's some little part of Marilyn, I think, that we all channel in some way. So when you think about it, it's 55 years, I think. Yes, 55 years, almost, because she died in August of 1962. So almost 55 years since Marilyn passed away at the very young age of 36. Her influence is still felt today. You know, she's just become such an icon. She was such an icon of American cinema, but she was also a true beauty in her own right. And I think if you look at photographs that have been taken of her over the years, if you look at photos in which she didn't really wear any makeup, you can see her true beauty. And she was so feminine. I mean, as I was reading about her and researching about her, I realised so much of what she had was natural. You know, she obviously enhanced of what she had a lot with makeup and with how she dressed herself, but she knew what worked for her and she knew how to use it to her advantage. She was 5'5" in height, which is probably about the same height as I am. I might be 5'6", probably 5'6", so maybe half an inch in the difference. She had an incredible figure, as we all know. Her measurements were 36, 23, 35. So that 13-inch difference between her bust and her waist and her hips, that's what gave her that classic hourglass shape. And Marilyn was able to, or rather should I say Norma Jean, as she was baptized Norma Jean Baker, she was able to create Marilyn Monroe through the makeup that she wore and the clothes that she wore. But her makeup look was, she had help in creating that. She had a wonderful makeup artist called Alan Whitey Snyder, who also had some other very famous clients, such as Katharine Hepburn, Doris Day and Raquel Welch, and I'm sure they were only just a few. But I think when we think of Marilyn's signature makeup look, we think of the pouty red lips. We think of the beautiful doe-eyed appearance that she was able to create with lashes and winged liner. We think of the peak on the brows. We think of a glow to her complexion. So there were things that this makeup artist, Whitey as he was affectionately known, he used to create Marilyn. So when we think of the lovely glow she had, apparently she used Vaseline as a primer and as a moisturiser, and that underneath her makeup gave her this lovely glow. And to Marilyn, if her face seemed moisturised, that equalled a youthful appearance. She also liked to use the Elizabeth Arden 8-Hour Cream, which is kind of like a Vaseline-y texture and consistency, so it's quite thick as well, so it would give a very glowy appearance to the skin. I was curious to know what kind of foundation she used. I'm just going to back up a little bit because she loved the Arno Laszlo Active Folletto or Felatal moisturizer, and apparently he did makeup. I don't know if he still does do makeup, but it was one of his makeups that she used as well. Oh yes, she used to use the Elizabeth Arden. It was called Pata Cream, or Pata Creme. It was obviously in a little compact, and she used that foundation. That's now that particular one isn't available, but it's now available as Elizabeth Arden Flawless Finish Foundation, which strangely enough I wasn't aware of this, because I actually have the Elizabeth Arden Flawless Finish Foundation, and I'm wearing it today because I actually find at the moment it's giving me the coverage I'm looking for without looking too heavy, and it gives me a nice glow. But so that is a version of what she would have worn. When it came to her eyebrows, Whitey would create a kind of a peak on her brow to give that appearance of her, well, you know, that very arched brow, but to give the appearance of the eye being lifted as well. When it came to lashes, he would, apparently the brand she used was called Gloren of Hollywood, and she would use, he would cut them and put them on the outer corner of her eyes, so it would create that lifted, doe-eyed look. She also liked to use Helena Rubinstein mascara, and I think some of these products are actually still available. When it came to her eyeliner, she liked to wear a mixture of black and brown, and it was the was that Elizabeth Arden? Yes, it was the Elizabeth Arden classic pencils that she liked to use. But apparently, Whitey had a trick, and he would draw a tiny little white triangle starting underneath the top lash line and from underneath the bottom lash line. So a little triangle going outward like that, and obviously very well blended in, and that would create a kind of extra dimension to her face and make her eyes look wider. He would also apparently use a tiny little dot of red in here, again obviously blended in very well, but it was to make the whites of her eyes appear even whiter and to make her eyes look bigger. She liked to do what she called the Garbo eye. It was a trick she learned from Greta Garbo, and that was to use very pale or white or cream shadows on her lids right up to her brow bone, and particularly here in the inner corner, again to create depth and to create that wide-eyed appearance. Now everybody knows Marilyn for her red lips, and that just didn't happen with one lipstick. Apparently, Whitey used about 5 different shades of red in order to contour her lips and to make them look more pouty. So starting with the darker shade around the outside corners and lightening as he went in, and then a lighter, well, not a light red, but a slightly lighter shade of red on the lips themselves. He then liked to highlight the Cupid's bow and her bottom lip. She also liked to put a little bit of Vaseline on her lip to give that glowy, glistening effect. And Vaseline she also used as a highlighter on her cheekbones, her brow bones, and sometimes on her mobile lid to give that sort of wet look effect. And actually that's a style that has come back in, particularly this year, that was that wet look, and people were using Vaseline to try and achieve that. Now when it comes to fashion, again, Marilyn knew what worked for her, and she used it. She used what worked for her to her advantage. And you have to remember, I think, that she had this wonderful blend of sensuality and innocence that really, when you think about it, to men who were in her company, it must have been intoxicating. She loved to wear soft, silky fabrics that would cling to her curves and accentuate them. So if you think of, you know, the iconic movies that she appeared in, where her fashion really came to the fore, if you think of the 7-Year Itch and that white dress, it was a halter neck with the really wide skirt, and she stood over the grating, and as the subway passed underneath it, the air blew the dress up. Well, that was designed by, let's see if I have his name, I just want it, Billy Travilla, and he designed that dress for that scene, and he also designed the shocking pink dress that she wore in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. You know, the scene where she sang "Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend," and again, if you think of that dress, it was satin, it was shiny, you know, it was cinched in all the right places, and it just accentuated her beautiful curves. She really liked to have her waist cinched in dresses, so she tended to go for very fitted cocktail dresses that really would accentuate. When you think about it, she had a 23-inch waist. Who wouldn't accentuate that? She liked to show a little bit of skin, but not too much. It was never over the top. She never showed her tummy, and never unless she was in a bikini. And when you think about it, in the 50s, the bikinis came up quite high, almost to belly button level. So it wasn't that she was showing too much flesh. And I don't think she was ever, you know, apart from maybe the odd photograph, maybe in a bikini as well, where she was showing any part of her buttocks. She loved being photographed. I mean, it's evident in all the pictures you see of her. The camera loved her, and she also loved the camera. She loved also to wear fur wraps. She always wore high heels, very often with peep toes, and she always had, you know, a beautiful pedicure. She liked to wear big earrings as well. I'm talking about when she was out on the red carpet or at a party. But apparently when she was relaxing, she would like to wear her denims. So she favoured Levi's and J.C. Penney denims, and sort of, you know, shirts, maybe cotton shirts, silk shirts. And I did see pictures of her wearing flats, but they were, you know, she would wear those when she was relaxing. She also loved to wear a big white fluffy toweling cotton robe. Apparently that was what she loved to wear in between takes, or if she was having her makeup done, or when she was relaxing at home. She loved, I said that, she loved American sportswear. Her favourite designers were Emilio Pucci. He was her absolute favourite, and Billy Travilla, as I said, who designed those very famous dresses. When it comes to heels, I mean, apart from when she was relaxing, I don't think we really saw Marilyn in flats. If she was out on the red carpet or at a party, she had her heels. Apparently her favourite brand was Ferragamo. I'm not familiar with that make, but apparently a little trick that she had was that she liked to kind of shave off about 1/4 of an inch of the right heel of all her shoes, so that it would accentuate the swinging of her hips as she was walking. And if you know the movie, and it's actually probably my favourite movie of all time, Some Like It Hot, in which she starred with Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis, and they're dressed up as women and they've joined this girl band, and Marilyn plays Sugar Kowalski. And the very first scene in which she appears in that movie, she's walking, the camera is filming her from behind, and she's walking along the platform at a train station, and her hips are swinging, and Jack Lemmon, who is at that particular moment dressed as a woman, he's trying to study it, and he's saying, "Look at that, how does she do it? It's like Jello on wheels." And it sums her up. I mean, that is an iconic scene. If you haven't seen that movie, it's so good and it's so funny. So apparently that's how she achieved that lovely swing of the hips. It helped to have 1/4 of an inch off your right heel. And when you think about that, that must have been quite difficult to walk with one heel slightly lower than the other. I think if I did that, I'd probably break my ankle. But anyway. If you think about what she would wear now, I imagine if Marilyn was with us today, she would probably love to wear a Diane von Furstenberg wrap dress, because it would accentuate her curves and her waist. I imagine obviously cocktail dresses would be a firm favourite, again probably very cinched in at the waist. I'd say she would have an absolute closet full of Manolo Blahniks and Jimmy Choos, and I also think that she would be very good at stealing the boyfriend style, boyfriend jeans and shirts, and probably what do you call those flats? Oh, I can't think of the name, but flat shoes anyway. Loafers, loafers. There you go. And to go back to the particular, I was looking up to see if I could find out a particular red lipstick that she wore. Apparently, she wore Max Factor's Ruby Red, which is now available as, or it's now, I presume it's still available as Ruby Tuesday. She also liked to wear Revlon. It's got one called Certainly Red, Hot Coral, and Kiss Me Coral, and Blaze Apricot, which apparently are all still available. Now, I don't know if they'd be available this side of the Atlantic and the European side of the Atlantic. I'm not sure. Possibly more so in the States. But it would be nice to go and see. I'm going to have a look and see if I can find any of those. I think we all know as well that she wasn't a natural blonde. She was a brunette. And she discovered in her early career that if she dyed her hair, she got more work, more photographic work, and then movie work as well. But it took her trying out 16 different shades before she hit the right one. And once she hit that right, the correct colour, she went from brunette to bombshell, and she never looked back. She's been known to say that, I don't know who invented high heels, but whoever he is, all women owe him a lot. She's also been known to have been asked, what do you wear in bed, Marilyn? And she said Chanel No. 5. So that was obviously her favourite scent. And when I know I said at the very beginning that Marilyn was able, or Norma Jean was able to create Marilyn, and there's a famous story that goes that she was walking with a friend, I think in New York. They were just walking along one of the streets in New York, and her friend was just puzzled that nobody was noticing that they were passing by this famous movie actress, and she said it to her, and Marilyn said, watch this, and she turned on the walk and just, you know, changed her posture, and suddenly everybody noticed her. So she could turn it on when she wanted to. She could become Marilyn when she wanted to, and not be Marilyn when she didn't want to. And when you think about it, for such a beautiful, inspirational lady to have met such an early and tragic death at the age of 36, she had only just turned 36. It's so, so sad. And I think she would be, she was born in 1926, so would she be 81? No, she'd be more than that. She'd be in her 80s anyway. I wonder what she would be like now if she was still with us. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I really enjoyed learning about her, and particularly about the type of products that she used. And if you look up online, you'll see actual photographs of what she had in her makeup case, and what was on her bedside table, and what was on her makeup table. And apparently all the items were very well used, which was a wonderful sign that she, you know, she did use everything that she had, and they weren't just sitting there untouched. She really did use everything that she had. Some of the eyeshadows that I can't remember the names now offhand, but they were little tubes of cream eyeshadow, but they're not available anymore. But I'd say a lot of what she did wear is available in a different formulation or a different packaging, and a lot of the brands are still available, so it's nice to see that. And there's lots of blogs and YouTube videos where, you know, girls try to recreate the look, and they're wonderful tutorials. I'd love to do a Marilyn inspired look, because I do think, as I said earlier, that you know, we can still channel a lot of what she used to do, perhaps with a slightly more modern twist. So if you'd like to see a Marilyn inspired look, I would be delighted. You could let me know in the comments below. I'd love to do it. It would be such fun to do that. So I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know if there's any other Hollywood icon that you would like me to talk about, and I'd love to do that. And I hope that you're having a wonderful day wherever you are, and that the sun is shining. It's actually quite warm here. I'm dealing with a little bit of light differences because the sun is playing a little bit of hide and seek, but it's actually quite warm. Well, warm for Ireland, not necessarily warm for lots of other climates, but it's a lovely, comfortable heat. So have a lovely rest of the day, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon, because it's almost the weekend, so I'll probably do another video before then. So take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.